So even though I'm 18, I really adore SpongeBob because it's so ridiculous. It's a really good stress reliever. And somehow I heard that all the characters, they are based on the seven deadly sins, which are wrath, sloth, greed, envy, gluttony, pride, and lust. But I'm pretty sure it's still just a rumor. And but first, some background information on SpongeBob. Everyone knows that it's just about this obnoxiously happy sponge that lives in a pineapple. And the first episode was aired on May 1st, 1999, and as of this year, it's the only Nick show from the 1990s that is still running. And in 1984, Stephen Hillenburg, while studying marine biology, came up with the idea of SpongeBob, and he made a comic strip, the Intertidal Zone, which is about various sea life that talks that eventually turn into the SpongeBob characters. And you're probably wondering how the Seven Deadly Sins could even be related to such an obnoxious kids show. And yeah, you really can't, because the kids wouldn't pay attention to something like that, and they don't even know what the sins are. So someone too old must have just analyzed it because they didn't have anything better to do. But history of the Seven Deadly Sins. A Greek theologian, Evagrius of Pontus, many years ago, first drew up 8 wicked human passions, and in the 6th century, a pope changed it to 7, but it's really not that important and no one could ever agree on it, but for fun, here are the sins related to SpongeBob. So the first is Patrick, and he's pretty stupid and doesn't really do much, and he's probably more stupid than the rock he lives under, but everyone knows that he's just, the friend of SpongeBob and doesn't really relate to anything very well. But he's obviously sloth because of how lazy he is. And in one episode he was upset because SpongeBob got all these awards, but by the end he got an award for doing absolutely nothing. So it just shows how lazy and he just doesn't do anything. And then the next is Squidward Tentacles, and he's always angry and just hates life, and he lives in a tiki type thing, I think that's what it is, next to SpongeBob, and works with him, and he's just not very nice to be around, and that's why he is wrath, which is anger, and he just hates life, and whenever even though SpongeBob is annoying, he's just so irrationally angry. And it's really funny because he's actually the one that gets hurt all the time because, he isn't carefree and he's just angry, so he deserves it. And next is Mr. Krabs, and he owns the Krusty Krab and takes advantage of SpongeBob in every single episode. And he lives in a giant anchor and just really ignores the needs of his daughter whenever she comes up in an episode. And he's the most obvious one. He's greed, because in every single episode he's always talking about money, and whenever he finds a penny he makes a huge deal about it and doesn't let anyone else have it. And whenever he takes advantage of SpongeBob, it's normally about money. In one episode, SpongeBob offers his paycheck for these really stupid boots. And then the next one is Plankton. He's always trying to steal Mr. Krabs' recipe for the Krabby Patty, and in every episode he fails, and he's just really tiny and annoying, and so he's obviously envy because he wants the Krabby Patty formula so that he can have as successful of a business as Mr. Krabs, and since the beginning of the episode, of all the episodes, that's the only thing he does. And even one episode when he becomes friends with SpongeBob, it's only because of the Krabby Patty formula. This one I was actually surprised about. I didn't think Gary would make the list, because I never thought of him as an important character, because he's only, SpongeBob's pet snail, and doesn't really do much. He's always just standing around meowing and lazily moving around. But he's actually gluttony, and it does make sense because in every episode he's always being fed, and in one of them he only hung around Patrick because there was a cookie in his pocket, and in another one he ran away because SpongeBob wasn't feeding him. So he only relates to food in all of the episodes. And then the next is Sandy Cheeks. You know, she's a squirrel that's from Texas that lives in that air dome thingy because she can't breathe underwater. I don't even know how she ended up underwater. I don't think they ever said that. And she's really good friends with SpongeBob, and she loves karate. But she's obviously Pride because she just, every single episode she talks about how she's from Texas and, you know, all the cool things she would do there and how she wants to go home. But it's not, you know, the bad kind of pride that people have, because she loves where she lives and she wants to go home and she wishes she could. And then the last one is SpongeBob, save the best for last. And is who the show's named after, and he's always happy and giggly and always doing obnoxious things and either annoying people or helping people become happy, and he's just really dedicated to work, ridiculously even. And his is lust, which I thought kind of didn't fit, but it really does as long as you don't look at it as a sexual term. You have to look at it as like kind of like a lust for life instead, because that's the only way it fits. But he's just always happy and always excited to do things, so he does have a lust for life. And then, so don't be ashamed, because even though I'm 18, I love SpongeBob, and I think everyone should watch it, because there's nothing wrong with it, and it even teaches you about the 7 deadly sins, so I think that everyone should watch it whenever it's on, and it's actually on every day, but I only watch it like once a week.